intentional communities, collaborations, tribe, living together. Hi, I'm Nick, former medical doctor turned soul doctor, and I want to chat about my last 5 years of attempting to step in this space and failing over and over again, and where I'm at currently. Because I think so many of us are seeking community, seeking different ways of living, seeking outside of the normal nuclear family, condos, all that stuff, and confused about how to start, how it is failing, it feels like, how it's not working. And it started with 5 years ago. We were working with an older couple and wanting to collaborate with them, even start a retreat center, possibly other things, or step into their footsteps, all this stuff. And then having to quit and feel wrong and shameful and doing it wrong. And it was just an unspoken misalignment of values, probably, of hierarchy, of other things. And this isn't the truth. This is just my perspective of it now. I was using words like dream killer, and I don't believe in your dream, and forgetting, how do I get clear on my own? How do I speak my own truth? How do I listen and receive and respond? And then stepped into trying to jump into something with someone else, trying to really say, hey, yeah, let's go for it. Not even seeing the truth of where they are, that they weren't actually ready, and then going so fast that it scared them, and then actually being almost betrayed or betraying another, being exiled, and that loss. And then stepping into this year has really been about spending intentional, longer time with other families, people with children as well. And that's such a difference. Young children, because that's where we're at with young children. How do we be in alignment with that first? And it was a dear friend. We camped for a week. We spent together time for a week. And what that was like to actually spend real intentional time getting to know, deepen, almost like buying something was great. And then spending time with a family member and her daughter, spending exceptional amounts of time, almost a month of our year together in different ways, and how easy, effortless, flowing that was, and how we want to create more of that stepping into the future. That's definitely something to create more of. And then stepping into the third aspect now, which is with some friends here in Kona, and actually stepping into it, being much more clear now for myself about my preferences, getting much more clear, oh wow, there is a real distinction when you step into a place that's not familiar, of lack of community first, of lack of clarity, of confusion, of loss, of double spending, of high expenses, of miscommunication, of almost sometimes depression, sadness, and noticing all those aspects. And I could see them all as failures, or I could see them all as the tuition for the curriculum of this life, stepping outside of the normal patternings, and thanking all of my ancestors, my lineage, my living lineage, for all the work that they did. Often we remind ourselves, my beloved and I, our parents moved from Hong Kong to the US and Canada at what, for me, it was almost 5 decades ago. And they did this at a time where there wasn't the same communication, where they didn't have the money, where they weren't clear on who they were, where they didn't have the credentials, where they didn't have the citizenship, where they didn't have the support of their parents in many ways. And so that uphill battle was so different, and yet they did it. And they broke patterns that allowed for the current version of me to emerge. And my beloved, the same thing. And even with all the fears that we have currently, and we could shame ourselves, we could compare ourselves to their fears, going, they're not as big as what theirs were. Theirs are more real. Recognizing that it's not about the reality, it's the sensation inside, and being with them, but also recognizing we have the resilience, we have the courage, we have the capacity to be with it and step into it. And to notice the process of stepping from nuclear family into community. And it wasn't that long ago that many more of us were living in community, but how was that broken? How was that shifted? We can actually shift back, but it's not a shifting back, it's shifting to what is new, that we're alchemizing, that we're hybridizing. And that process, just like the process of learning how to invest for many of us, for me, I had to lose, quote unquote, a lot of money, to make a lot of bad trades, to gamble some, to fail some, to get caught some, to hit the normal fallacies, were important as tuition. And if I can see it as tuition, how different that is than seeing it as a loss, as a failure, and running away from. And so right now, in the midst of this next challenge, I wanted to share this part of the process, because at some point, I imagine in the future, this messy middle will be non-existent. We've actually run into someone who's written a book, The Odyssey of their family, as they traveled and as they lived and as they homeschooled, all of those things at the same time, the craziness of it. And how do we do that? How do I do that for myself as well? How do I embrace my culture, my faith, my lineage, my history, my beloved, their family? How do I embrace the friends that I really want to make family, that are ohana? Nah. And step into this next level. And part of it right now, I'm going to create a living document for ourselves. I'm going to create my own desires, my own neti, my own community, my own connections, my own desires, my wishes, my requests, so that we can get clearer on how to step forward in this next thing. And in so doing, letting go of many parts that aren't working. My way is definitely not the right way. And I'm going to lay the foundation for what I can see. And if it serves, wonderful. And if it doesn't work out, that could be the most wonderful thing, that we just weren't aligned right now. How we look at things is too different. And rather find out now in these early stages, in these playing stages, than the having bought a place. And we've recently run across that, dear friends, that bought a place, tried to build together. So many different layers and aspects. Each one is a different layer and aspect. And how do we create what we want to right now? How do we step into it in the easiest way possible? And it's not that there aren't going to be more challenges. We are creating our challenges. It's not that we don't want problems. We want better problems than our parents. We want our children to have better problems than we have. So thank you if you're listening to this, because you have a desire to create your own version of community. If you've gotten to the end of this, reach out, write a comment, come to the breath, come discover what's there for you, by you, through you, as you. And as we recreate these communities, I think we're rebuilding trust and ties to the land, and reclaiming lineages. And these are some of the most important things to do in this time of great change. A reminder that it's not just technological progress, or measurable progress that makes the real shifts. It's these subtle shifts that change. And that's what I'm playing with right now. Ciao for now.